Welcome to Rossman Radio, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs, founders, and e-commerce brands that are breaking through the noise and scaling like never before. I'm Alysse, and Rossman Media is a trend-forward social media agency specializing in going viral and delivering 10x returns for the brands that we work with. Each week, I'll sit down with industry disruptors to talk about the highs, the lows, and the exact strategies that help them grow from their first sale to multi-million-dollar milestones. If you're ready to unlock what it really takes to win on social, build a community, and multiply your revenue, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Rossman Radio. I'm here with Madhu from Lion Pose, and we're going to have a very candid conversation today. This woman here does so much more than co-found a very successful business, but she's also a mother. She's had her own podcast. She's a partner. So there's a lot to cover here, and I feel like it's going to resonate a lot with all of you of how she does it all. So welcome to the show.
Nice. So good to see you.
No pressure or anything.
Yeah, I was like, I fundamentally don't, I have like this visceral reaction when people think about that term, have it all. Oh my God. It gets me so angry when women talk about having it all, because I'm like, that is actually a myth. Nobody has it all. And if you like act like that's true, then you're actually avoiding something that is, you know, like basically one of the secrets to people who have it all is like either they're just spending a ton on nannies or help, or like they just have like a lot of cash to spend on the fact that they can have it all. But I think so it's so sort of unfair, you know what I mean? But my husband always says this thing. He always says, it's not about having it all right now. It's about having it all over a course of period of time. So it's sort of like maybe right now you're having kids, and then maybe next year you're going to start a company, and maybe a few years after that you'll like remodel your house. It's like it's just not all going to happen at the same time.
That's a really good way of putting it, and you're spot on. There's a lot of my peers or even friends or even like colleagues like, wow, like how do you do it? Like you have a child and a husband, you work full time, and it's just like I have help. I pay for help. I simply cannot do this all on my own. And I know there's moms out there that do.
Yeah. Those are the true heroes, like the ones that are actually doing it all by themselves.
I don't know how.
I don't know how you're doing it.
Like, because I'm up, 5, 6 o'clock every single day. And, my house, it's like I'm cleaning and cooking and then working out and taking care and going to school. And my husband works full time as well. And he's pretty hands-on too. So it seems like we should be able to manage all this on our own. But I think that people don't realize it's a lot,
Yeah.
And like you said, like we have to outsource a lot of stuff to make it happen. And even then, it's like sometimes you have a giant pot of dishes still in the sink.
Totally. Still, even after outsourcing, then you're managing, right? And so like that also takes time, right? Managing whoever you're outsourcing to. Yeah. So it's like it's actually really tough to do it all. And I know because you're a business owner, or you have been a business owner, so like the mental strain that is on your head when you're managing people and managing the house and managing your kids. It's like your mom all the time. Even when you are like at work, you're a mom, And so I think it's like it is very, very hard. And I think that's something that I do want people to know, that it's not like easy to do all this stuff. You just have to kind of like get through the grit.
Yeah. Basically. That's the best. Grit is the best way to put it. And I always tell people there's things that do make it easier, like a loving partnership, a loving husband, wife, whatever it might be, or, genuinely enjoying the cooking if you want. Because like sometimes like, my sister, she doesn't like cooking. Like it's not her thing. Yeah. And, that's okay. But that also makes that chore like hard. It turns into a chore. And that into the plate. Whereas I personally feel like it's a very meditative experience cooking for my family every day. I'm lucky for that.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy folding laundry,
Yeah. So you outsource the thing that you don't enjoy, right? That like is taking away your energy. There's one of my former bosses, actually, I think I told you this before I went to Thailand, right? And we were talking about energy. And she actually came with me on this trip. And it was like a big self-care trip of like days of meditation, woo-woo, vibrational therapy, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that I never thought I would do, but I love it now. But we were talking about this thing called DIG. We came up with this acronym for it, and it's where's your energy going? So you kind of analyze what's depleting you, where do you want to invest your energy, and where are you gaining energy, right? And everyone's different. For some people, social events might be where you gain energy, and for some people, it might be where you deplete energy. And for me, for example, social events used to be the thing that where I would gain energy. And today, as a mom and a founder, it actually depletes my energy. And so I have to like be really careful. Where am I going to invest my energy? It's like that's the most finite thing you have is your time and your energy, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And that is, you literally just made a light bulb go off in my head. And I was making a mental note, write this down. Because it seems so mundane, but it's something where like you just forget it when you're in the thick of it.
Oh, 100%.
And it's true. Like when I think of everyday things, like, yeah, social events used to bring me a lot of energy too. I'd come back buzzing. Now I have a pretty big social calendar. Like I, live very close to my family. I am very close to my family. I like
nice.
With them. They have kids. So I like my kids to hang out with their kids. And I do that multiple times a week, but I come home and I'm ready to collapse onto the floor.
Oh, really? Wow.
Even though it's like the most fun and I get energized like during, but then home and I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted. But then, I have found, and you and I were talking about this, like at work, when I have like really productive and meaningful days, like when I'm talking with people about building their marketing initiatives and their campaigns, and like it's a cool company where I know that like they're a great fit for us and that we can actually like really knock it out of the park for them. All like I won't even need caffeine. I'll be so like high. And
that's awesome.
Be able to like do anything until I convince them to work with us.
That's amazing. So you're just like a natural salesperson because I'm like, I don't, that is not where I would get my energy, but it's amazing that you do. Like that's your superpower.
Thank you. I think that it's more so just like, I'm so fortunate. I now can choose. I got to choose where I work when I came to Ross Media. And it was the first time in my career where I got that, where I felt like, okay, I made enough, I guess like advancements like on my resume where like I got to really pick and like analyze like where I wanted to work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very intentionally because I knew they're good. And like I knew the results that they get for their clients are really good. So that like makes selling easy because like,
you believe in it.
Yeah, like, I believe in what they're doing and I've seen it. Like I've watched us get mom and pop businesses off the ground. I've watched us like
that's amazing.
Turn $2 million into $10 million for businesses. And it's like, it's cool, Like
well, I think what's really impressive is that you had your own agency and then you sold it and you came back, boomeranged back to work at the agency of where you started. And I think that is, so telling of a manager. Right? Because like clearly your boss is somebody you really respect and you want to work with.
You have no idea. And if you have a chance to watch any of his stuff,
I should actually.
It's very inspiring working for him and for all of the leaders the players that he has brought in. Like
that's awesome.
It's really a company where everyone really loves what they're doing. And it's not because I've worked at another agency and they also had really incredible leadership. So I feel kind of lucky. I hear about the bad agencies all the time from prospects.
Oh, wow.
Experience like working with them.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing is like agencies are really hard to tell like what's good and what's not, especially from like the brand side. Like I have had my fair share of going through agencies that don't work out. And it's never obvious in the beginning, right? So you kind of have to work together to figure it out. So
we hear those stories though a lot. And I will say like, we're not perfect, but we learned a lot like from making mistakes early on or different, things along the way that we're like, oh, I will say like when it comes to working at Rossmann, it's one of those things where like, it's the ethics that I think drew me into it.
Oh yeah.
No matter what, like if we're not crushing it or if we're not, making them happy, like our CEO and founder is involved in every account, whether you're spending $3,000 a month with us or $30,000 a month with us or $300,000 a month with us. Like, he treats it like everyone is literally the exact same.
That's awesome.
And it always blows
pretty
my mind.
rare.
Like, we It does. Like, it blows my mind because I'm like, are we sure we want to be spending this much time? Like, I just want to remind you, like, the retainer is like very, very small. Like, I feel like we can get a smaller team on this and really accomplish it. It's like, nope, everyone has to get this. There's only one way to do it. And
nice. That's
there's one way to
awesome.
do it. So quick kudos to them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But tell us about your business. Tell us, gosh, like,
Yeah.
I want to start with, I want people to know so much about you, but let's just start with how this biz, because you have a background in tech. So you worked at Facebook, Pinterest, and you have this strong background from graduating at Harvard Business School, which is incredibly impressive. How did this kind of become the bucket that you fell into from that?
I know, it's so crazy, right? Like, it doesn't feel like it was normal on my path, but it actually was, if you kind of go back. But so there's a personal and there's like a professional side to it. But I started in tech, right? I was at Google, and I actually worked on the Google shopping team back when it was called Frugal. Like, this is 17 years ago. That was my first job out of college, and I remember I was in finance, and I was looking at the money that was coming in from each of our properties. Like, at the time, we had Google Images. There was like a property called Google Images, Google Video before YouTube, Google Frugal, finance, all this stuff. And I started to see that there was all this cash coming in from Frugal, and we were doing nothing. Like, we had like 2 people on that team. So I worked with this other product manager. His name's Samir Samat, who is now like very senior at Google. He was running Android for years. And he and I put together this like financial model and presented it to Marissa Meyer and was like, we need to invest in Google Shopping. And that was the beginning of like Google Shopping ads, like PLAs, if you remember that. And the Merchant Center feeds, if anybody works on Google Shopping. And so I was on the partnership side, and we were bringing on all these advertisers, teaching them how to use these things. We launched Google Reviews, which is the stars, couponing, all of that stuff. So I was there during the time where we launched like literally every single feature for shopping ads. And then in 2012, I decided that I wanted to leave. I went to go work for, to be honest, I went to work for Amazon for 3 weeks, but I'm not going to talk about that too much. It's just not a good fit.
Enough.
Long story short is that we were trying to sell MP3s, and I was like, I think this is the wrong time in history to sell MP3s. And so then I left. But I went to a retargeting company called Telepart, which was bought by Twitter. And this is before Facebook had retargeting. So of course, like, as you guys know, like, retargeting is a really important ad format. So when you see an ad, when a customer sees an ad and then they don't do anything with it, the idea is that you want to retarget them, show it to them again, and see if they'll take action this time, right? So really, really strong performance there. And Telepart, we kind of like hacked the Facebook algorithm to do retargeting ads. And then they launched retargeting officially at Facebook. And so then I went to business school, and between my first and second year, I put together a business plan. And this is 2013. I was like, oh, I'd love to use one credit card to shop at every place that, like Gap and Anthropologie. And I just don't want to, like, imagine Amazon, but for all of your favorite brands. And so I came up with this idea called One Shop, where you could just like use one credit card, shop everywhere you want. And pitched it to a couple of VCs. And then actually a friend of mine who used to work at Telepart was now at Pinterest when it was a startup, like very early. And she was like, why don't you come here and launch that? Like, we need to do that here. So I pitched it to Pinterest. They were like, we love it. Come and do it. I did it for my summer between first and second year. And then at the end of the summer, they were like, you can't leave. You have to launch it. And I was like, but I have to go back to school. And then they were like, well, how much would you stay for it? Right. And so then I was like, at the end of the day, I didn't want to leave school. I wanted to finish it off because I had such a great time. And I knew that if I left, I wouldn't come back. My husband was here on the West Coast. So I asked them if I could go back and forth. And so I worked with a couple of professors. I basically did Monday and Tuesday in Boston at school, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in San Francisco at Pinterest. At that time, we couldn't work remotely. We were told we had to work in office. So I flew back and forth every single week for a full year. And thank God for all my friends that would give me like granola bars and stuff like that when I would show up in class late. But we launched the product the same week that I graduated HBS. So that was really exciting. And then I like took some time off. I was like a little burnt out after Pinterest because I obviously was working crazy hours. And I decided that, I want like a normal 9 to 5. So I went to work for Facebook, which didn't end up being a normal,
not a
9 to
normal
5.
9 to 5. Like, okay.
I know. So what was interesting at Pinterest was, our top categories were like home goods, fashion, beauty, these types of things, right? And I was seeing a ton of movement on the beauty side of things. And I remember following a lot of people like from, I don't know if you remember, there was this YouTuber, Luxie Hair. I think her name is Mimi Icon. And I remember seeing like her work, and then I saw her brand on Pinterest. And when I was at Google, like I was seeing these things too, starting to emerge. And YouTube itself was becoming really strong because of like, at that time they called it haul girls, where people were like trying on makeup and all that stuff. And I remember this moment at YouTube, I think this was like 2011. And I was watching a YouTuber that I really liked. Her name was Carly Bible. And she did this like incredible makeup. And I went to go get this like lip pencil that was at Walgreens. It was just like a Wet n Wild or something like that. And it was out. And then I went to another Walgreens and it was out. And then I went to another Walgreens and it was out, and I couldn't find it. It was sold out everywhere. And I remember thinking, this is the power of video, right? And so when I was at Pinterest, we were also starting to work on video. And then when I went to Facebook, I was like, I really want to work on video because I know that is where it's at, right? And so I worked on live video ranking. So I was working on actually like more news type stuff, but working on like ranking within the feed, and learned a ton about how Facebook thinks about ranking videos, right? Like watch time, watch length, where's retention, all those types of things. And then, because I was still working weekends and I didn't expect to be, and I wanted to be a mom, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to just leave. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I just left one day and started to work on my own stuff. And this was the scariest time of my life, actually, because I was pregnant. I got pregnant, and I think, and you will understand this, but like when I got pregnant, I was like, okay, something has to change. Mm-hmm. And there was this moment where it's hard because like as a maybe a millennial, I'm constantly trying to overachieve and give. And at that moment, because I had a baby, I was like, oh my God, I want to give to her. And I don't want this to be the life that she sees. Like I want her to see a different life. And what am I going to tell her? Don't follow your dreams. Like I need to show her that I will follow mine. Right. And so I just left. And it was really scary. I had no plans. I was sitting in Starbucks like for months.
I was at a Starbucks too when I
Were you really? Yes. Oh my God, tell me about this.
No,
tell me about this.
Finish your story that I will.
I need to know. Like we'll go back to my story, but like when did you make your decision?
Okay. I was in Puerto Rico dating a guy. We were there for like 2 months staying with his family. I was meeting his family for the first time. I thought this was the one. And I was sitting.
Oh my God. You were meeting his family.
I know. I literally.
Wow. Okay.
He was the one. And we're in Puerto Rico, and I was working for Rossmann at the time. Still, this is back in 2021. And I went to Alex, who was mentoring me at the time, as I helped him build out some sales stuff for Rossmann.
Yeah.
And I went to him, and I knew he would relate because he's an entrepreneur. He started Rossmann Media knocking on doors himself. His first client ever was San Diego Chargers. He walked to the office and wouldn't leave until they gave him some time to pitch.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I talked to him. I was like, listen, Alex, I kind of want to do this on my own for a little bit. Like, I want to see if I can. I'm really loving the UGC side of marketing, and I'm really loving, the social media side. And I want to launch my little boutique agency. and do this on my own and take everything that you've taught me and I've learned here and get a bigger piece of the pie.
Yes.
Because I was like capped out on commissions, capped out. I mean, he was, gave me everything he could.
That's incredible.
So he was, of course, like incredibly supportive.
That's rare, okay? Because I have definitely worked for people that when you tell them that you're leaving, they're kind of like, okay, I'm done with you, And the fact that he was just like encouraging you, that's the opposite.
Very supportive and continued to be supportive of my career.
That's incredible.
So then I was literally in Starbucks, Puerto Rico.
That's crazy.
By
yourself?
Yeah, by myself. I don't know where my boyfriend at the time was, probably like at home. He was a developer. So he was working probably in our Airbnb and I was at the Starbucks down the street. I was like, okay, today is the day I'm sending in my official notice, even though we had been talking about it. He knew it was
coming. My God.
And I did it because I had secured one person. I'd considered one partner.
Oh, wow.
At the time, I had secured one partner that was interested in working with me. I built out like a deck. I built out everything. And I pitched him and I secured one partner.
That's incredible.
Okay, with this retainer, I can do all the work myself and use this to bring on a team and grow and at least get me doing this full time.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
That's incredible. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you, Starbucks.
Yes.
I've been sponsoring this. But yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in that coffee shop. Yeah. And then I think so then I started, because I was pregnant, a lot of people told me, hey, let's you need baby formula because you're not going to breastfeed the entire time. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I am.
Of course I can. What do you mean?
Of course. Like what? And then lo and behold, they're right. Like I totally needed baby formula. And at that time, this is like before it became really common to have healthier baby formulas. This was like 2017. Most baby formula on the market was high fructose corn syrup. It was just Similac and Enfamil. It was like pretty crappy ingredients. And European formula has like really high standards because the government subsidizes it. And they don't, their definition of organic is very different from our definition of organic.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to use antibiotics in the feed. So that's actually another level of protection here. You are allowed to use antibiotics. So you could have like yeast overgrowth and things like that, because when you use antibiotics, it kills the good bacteria as well. And so like a lot of the probiotics that you would get from normal milk, you don't always get that here in the US, but you do in Europe. And so that was a big piece. And then they don't have high fructose corn syrup in Europe. That's like, that doesn't even exist. So everything was sweetened naturally with lactose, which is like also what's in breast milk. So I was like, interesting. Okay, because I knew ads really well, I was like, let me just throw up a Shopify website. I just started running ads. Sold through $10,000 worth of inventory in a week. And I was like, wait, this is baby formula. Yeah. I just bought some and resold it, but I wasn't like making a profit off of it. It's just
company. That's how we got our, because I also believe in everything you just said. And so we actually sourced all of our baby formula from the UK.
Where do you remember?
Formula Land.
Oh, I know them really well. Yeah. They're in LA actually.
Well,
yeah, I know.
They are, but their formula, because we used Kindamil, and if Kindamil, if you buy it at Target here, it's actually a US.
It's US
formula. Mm-hmm. But if you buy it from like a site like Formula Land, they source the actual cans from the UK. There's a difference on the bottom of the UK flag.
Yep.
And that has all the standards that you just went over.
I know, which is like, I mean, it's crazy because there's so much red tape in the industry. Like there were things like the reason why this formula wasn't quote unquote accepted in the US is because it was like 0.8 grams of iron per serving versus one gram. And I was like, are you kidding? Like it was like micro differences like that the US government has placed on formula. So it make it impossible for European formulas to sell directly here. But yeah, so I started this like formula company, and it was called Huggable, and we used to bring in formula from Europe. Turns out that is a very gray market. So I wanted to get out of that because as soon as I learned that, I was just like, okay, this is not where I want to be long term. But we grew that business really large. It was like 10 million in revenue within a year, which is like, which is meteoric, right? Like it was really fast. But that is because formula was so bad here, right? And so I think that was a big piece. And so I wanted to start my own formula. I left my co-founder at the time, who ended up being kind of a like he was a serial entrepreneur. And I wanted to work with him because I knew that he could teach me a lot. He ended up putting up a lot of the capital for the formula after I started this. But he took such a large percentage of the business. He took 67% for it. Was just like I was such a new founder that I was like, okay, I'm going to take it. I don't know what I'm doing. And obviously bad idea. We disagreed on the future of the business. He wanted to keep running this thing. And I was like, I don't want to run this. Like, I want to create my own formula. So we created our own. So I left and I applied to Y Combinator. And then the person that came with me was actually my first hire at the company. My first hire was Nisha, who is my current co-founder. And so at my first company, Huggable, we needed a VP of operations to handle logistics and operations. I put up like a listing on AngelList and she applied, and we've actually known each other since the first day of business school. We weren't like super close in school, so I didn't know what she was up to, but we reconnected. And she was like, I want to work for you. And I was like, are you sure you want to work for me? I was like, you're an HBS grad. You should go work for a cush job. Like, go work at Google, And she's like, no, I want to work for you. And I was like, this is like crazy. So I kept trying to talk her out of it because I knew the caliber of person she was. And I was like, you're just too smart. Like, I don't want to like put you in this situation. But she came in and she like totally owned it, embraced it, like was such a hustler. And was flying around the world with me to like get all these deals done. And then I finally was just like, okay, I'm going to leave. And then I told her and she was like, I'm leaving with you. Like, I'm not staying here. And so we applied to YC together, got in, and we were going to start a formula company. But then COVID hit. And during COVID, all the supply chains broke down for formula. It was like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but Similac basically had like E. coli breakout or salmonella, something like that. And the US had a shortage of formula. Like,
I remember hearing about this.
It was crazy because ironically,
formula.
Yeah, you heard about this?
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. And then ironically, we got a call from, so Nisha's brother works in DC. He's a lawyer and he works in DC and he's connected to a bunch of people in the government. And she gets a call that's like, hey, what should we do? Like, there's a formula shortage. Like, how do we get our hands on more formula for the US? And she was like, well, you could make it easier to import all this formula from Europe. And that's when Kendamel came in and things like that. But it was such an interesting, fascinating time. What ended up happening with us, though, is that our partner at YC, who's Michael Seibel, he was the president of YC. He was like, I think you guys should pivot. Like, what are you going to do here working on formula? Because you're going to wait until all the supply chains get better, and we don't know when that is. And I was like, that's a good point. So we sat around for a couple of weeks, nothing was getting better, and then we were finally like, yeah, maybe we should pivot. We had a few ideas. And then I started interviewing a bunch of our customers that we had. So moms that had just like maybe recently had kids. And most of them were like, can you fix my skin? Like, I have such bad skin after being pregnant. I have melasma, I have acne, I have all this stuff. And where do you get your Botox? Like, all these questions. And I was like, whoa, okay, skincare. And actually, coincidentally, my skin was a mess. Still is.
You had just given birth now at this point, right?
Yeah. So I had my second actually by this time. And my skin was a total mess. And I actually have a picture of it. And it was like, I was like, oh, other people also have like really bad skin after having a child. And so we ended up like running a couple tests. I launched a website. I ran some ads like I do. I put some fake product up and it was like, oh, it looks like this is actually a real thing. People do have skin issues and have hyperpigmentation as a problem. Yeah. And so that's why I ended up getting into this, but I'm trying to see if I can find a picture for you.
It's funny you mentioned that because so much really does change when you get pregnant.
Oh my God, so much, right?
Not just the size of your body, but just random things, like things get darker, things get more, like, I'm just like, what's going on?
Oh my God. Did you notice that yourself?
Yes. Like, yes. Lots of things got darker and I was like, okay. And then
like that line in the middle of your like
that
stomach
line
or whatever.
in the middle of my stomach that, by the way, just went away after a year and a half.
Oh my God. It's kind of scary. And then like even like my lips got dark, which was weird. I was like, why is that getting dark? I don't know. You get hair in different places.
Me and my best friend, we joke all the time that we have beards now.
Yes, I never used to have chin hair. It was really weird. It's like embarrassing. Like what? How do you?
I'm just okay. Guess I have hair that comes in, and I need to do something with that.
Yeah, all these changes. So like this is my face.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see that. That was after having a baby.
Obviously, very different than now.
Yeah, so different. And so I went to tons of doctors. Like, so I was all of this is happening while we're like trying to figure out where to pivot. And I'm like at the doctor's office. And I had bought like every skincare. Oh my God. If I show you how many bags of skincare I have, I mean, you could even see it behind me. I have random stuff all over my house. But I bought like vitamin C from Drunk Elephant, which was like $140. I bought like SkinCeuticals, CE for like everywhere I would look. I was like trying to find the thing for dark spots, and it turned out none of this stuff worked.
None of it works. And also went through a dark spot like journey.
Oh my God, doesn't work. And then I was like, why are people selling that it works? Then I would go to the doctor's office and they're like, what are you doing? This is not going to work on your skin. And so I think at the time, like all the ads that were trending were for The Ordinary. It was like, do you remember that like vampire facial thing? It was like all red. Yeah. So the Ordinary, it was like I think it was like 30% glycolic acid peel, they called it. And that was trending and it was like really cheap, but everybody swore by that. So I tell my dermatologist, I was like, hey, I'm going to use this. Like, what do you think? And she's like, absolutely not. You're going to kill your skin. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, 30% glycolic acid on your skin is going to burn it. And then when you burn it, because your skin reacts, your skin has melanin in it, it will increase the melanin and create a bruise. And then you're going to get darker skin. And I was like, wait, that's actually the opposite of what I want to do. And so I learned that different skin tones, so there's a Fitzpatrick scale. It's called the Fitzpatrick scale, and that's what they use to study skin tones in medicine. And it goes from 1 through 6, 1 being the lightest, 6 being the darkest. And it actually measures your photosensitivity to the sun, right? So like basically a Fitzpatrick 1 is going to get sunburned much, much faster than a Fitzpatrick 6. But the reaction is going to be different, right? You turn red with 1, and 6, you turn brown, like it's a melanin reaction, right? So, and what's interesting is that the darker you are, the longer that spot stays on your skin. So it actually like creates almost like a longer lasting dark spot. So you have to be actually very, very careful with darker skin. Or olive, even from olive skin, like you have olive skin, right? And so like that's going to start, it's going to start, I'm sure you get like sun tanned pretty easily, right? Like you get, right? And so I think there's
like I'll use certain products and I'll notice my skin gets more red. I'm like,
yeah, you have both. You probably get like red and dark spots, right? Like you probably have both. Yeah. And so what's interesting is with acids and lasers, the darker your skin is, the more careful you have to be, because you can actually get like burnt, right? Like you can get and create a darker spot. So you have to go down in the acid number, and you have to use different types of acids. So things that like help stop the dark spot from forming. So it's called tyrosinase inhibitors. But those things will stop dark spots from forming. So it actually stops the synthesis in your body. So learned all this stuff, and this is all like while we're trying to do formula. And then I was like, wait, okay, like maybe we should do skincare. And that's how we started with the first product, which is called Unspotted, which is a dark spot serum that I used for myself.
Wow.
So, yeah. And that's this one right here.
That's incredible. I just like,
I'll have to send it to you.
so your stuff, would you say that it leans towards like your skin type or like our skin type, or is it just like all skin types? Or is
Yeah,
it
it's actually made for all. And so what's ironic now is like I mean, initially I went in because I was the guinea pig.
right? Yeah.
But it turns out that lighter skin actually almost benefits more than darker skin on this, because you think about it, it's like it's gentle enough for my skin. That means it's going to be gentle for other skin tones that have more ability to handle a stronger acid. So as a daily use case, it's like actually works really well for melasma for any skin tone.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. We were talking earlier in the beginning of this episode, things that energize you. I also get very energized when I talk to founders like yourself that, not so much, obviously I can't relate to your incredible like pedigree of how you got to from A to C, but I can relate to like your grit and your hustle and like the excitement and the enthusiasm and like just pivoting and, kind of just continuing and going step in front of the other. And that like is so energizing. Like listening to your story, it just like proves that you don't really like have to have it figured out. You just have to grit. You just have to have, the motivation from yourself to like want it.
That's so true.
And you can't it's something you have, you either have it or you don't.
You know what's interesting is that I find myself, I don't know if you do this, like I find myself sometimes I have like moments where I'm in a lull, right? Like I'm in like a valley, right?
Yeah.
I feel stuck on a problem. I feel like I can't get out, And so it's like, I think at that point in time, I do actually have to remind myself or get inspired by someone or something. And so a few months ago, no, not even a few months, it was like a year ago. Okay, a year ago, our finances were in such a bad place. I to be honest, I wasn't micromanaging them as much as I should have. And now I'm like such a micromanager with finance. But they were in a bad place. We were like overpaying for 3PLs. We were like making all these bad decisions. And because we were just like moving so fast and I was like really focused on marketing, I wasn't looking at this side of the business. And one day I saw and I was like overwhelmed with how much work I had to do on that side. And I felt like I was in a rut. And I remember just for a few days, just like not being able to get out of bed. Like I was so depressed that how did I get here? Why didn't I look at this earlier? All those things that you do to like blame yourself. I'm like, how could I? How could I? And so, and then I had to just like figure out how to pull myself back up. And at that time, I started watching all these like YouTube videos. Who is it? It's what's his name? Alex Hormozi. Do you know Alex Hormozi?
Oh yeah, definitely. I modeled a lot of like my early sales techniques off of his.
Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, he's like a sales genius.
Yeah. He's great.
But he had all these videos that were like mindset videos that got me out of this rut. It was like and even Stephen Bartlett, I was watching The Diary of CEO, and he would talk about like the number of times you have to fail to succeed. I would think about Steph Curry. I was like reading this book to my daughter, and Steph Curry, like how many times he had to like miss a shot to become who he is, what he is today. And then you remember, okay, failure is part of succeeding. Like it is actually part of the equation. So then, I had to get myself up and I was like, okay, I did. Yes, I failed. Okay, fine. But that was part of it. And just like, because nobody teaches you this in school, right? Like in school, it was like
people that talk about like failing forward.
No,
right? Not in school, but like
not in school.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying because I've so been there, and I completely get it because you have to like. There's that moment of like, okay, you're sulking, but like, you never sulk that long. You know what I mean? Like I always tell people like that's like a superpower. Is like I do get like down, but just I don't like stay there. I just let it.
How do you do that? Because I feel like you're better than I am in that respect. Like I have to like really work to get myself out of it. I
have to really work to get myself out of it too.
Yeah.
That honestly, it kind of like you, or like I'll turn to like people that inspire me, or like things to get re-inspired, and then I'll feed off of that energy. But you know how it is, like when you're in a lull, you'll get like up again, and then it's like you're all like excited and like you're remotivated, and then 3 days go by and you're like kind of slipping back into that path again.
Totally.
So it's kind of like that dance for like a good solid, for me, for like a couple of weeks, and then slowly I'm like incrementally going forward to like a higher version of myself.
That's such a good visual.
It's just like, it's so real. Like, I feel like everyone goes through this because it's one of those things where it's just a relatable experience.
Yeah. It's really interesting how much your mind really does control your body.
I love sitting there reading, like, I just picture you reading like Power versus Force to your daughter who's 7. Like,
not yet, but yes, I do talk to her about this stuff. I'm always like telling her, very different. Like my kids, they get it starts so early, right? Like I don't know if this is happening yet with your 2-year-old, but like my child, like I remember one time she was trying to help me crack an egg. I was like teaching her how to crack an egg, and she broke the whole egg. Natural, right? Like, of course, what would you expect like a 4-year-old to do? She broke the whole egg. The whole thing fell apart. She starts crying. And she's like, I broke the egg. It's everywhere. I messed up. It's like they're already telling themselves how bad they are at that age. And it's not like I told her that. I was like, sweetheart, it's okay. And I have to like remind her that mistakes mean you're learning. Like, so I always tell her that's because you're learning. And so sometimes my kids now will say, it's okay, I'm learning. Right. And it's like, that's what I want. That's what I want myself to say. Right. Because, I don't think we grew up with that.
No, we didn't. I'm a millennial too. And I don't know about your household, but my household was very like traditional Italian, Midwest. And it's like, if you were not like bleeding out, you were not allowed to. Like,
there's no complaints.
So I was just like emotional like growth and awareness like came at a later age because, but now it's so good that you install that into your children. I am, going to do the same thing with mine. She's 2, so she's just starting to understand. I've been incorporating her now into just helping me with very like things that you wouldn't even think of, like opening a door. But
that's amazing.
Not a light, like, and she
like self-sufficient.
Yes, like she loves like watching. Like every time we come in from the garage, I'll let her push the garage door to like close it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she is ready, like I'm not telling her to do it. She's like, her hand's reaching out to do it, and then she pushes it and then turns around to watch the garage door close.
That's so cute.
And she loves these little things, like just being a part of little things that she's cause and effect and learning. And I feel like that's so important for that generation. And I think that that's why we're raising what's going to be the strongest generation.
I agree. I think we're going to raise pretty strong ones because we're also not going to take, like, forgive my language, but like, we're not going to take shit too. We're not going to be like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to work. We're gonna be like, no, get up, right? Like, because that's what we did. We got up. But like, it's about the mentality. It's like, I know you're tired. Like, so when you come home, get some rest, but like, you got to get up and go to work, right? Like, or you got to get up and go to school. But maybe tomorrow you just don't go out. Like so it's like stuff like that where I think our generation, like we're tough on ourselves, but we also recognize that we need to like work on some of that mental strength. So that's
a constant reminder, even with my child. Like she's teaching me to slow down. And I feel like I'm a generally like present person.
Yeah.
And because it's just something I very much value. Like I really learned over the last 5 years that is something that ignites me, is like really taking the time to enjoy moments.
That's awesome.
But I still don't remember that when the hustle and bustle like starts happening. And then I'll have the garage door moment. And I'm just like, okay.
That's such an amazing like smell the roses moment where you're like the garage door. Like who would think about that, right? Like how many times do you close the garage door? You don't think about that.
You don't, but she loves it. And if she ever asks, like, I did find myself where I'd be quick, like if I'm doing laundry and she comes in the laundry room and she's pushing all the buttons, I'll be like, okay, like I was quick to like move her away. And then I had these epiphanies. I'm like, wait, why don't I just involve her? So her like clothes and she would put them in, and like I would be doing
cute.
And then she would then I would like lift her up to push the button to start the washing machine, and it slows you down. It totally slows you down.
Yeah, totally.
And now it's just like a reminder. It's truly like a walking little reminder of like to just kind of sit back and like enjoy, because like you get to now enjoy it through, and she's helping me more than I'm doing anything for her.
Yeah.
You try to like carry those things through life. I think it's important because I don't have, a 7-year-old like you, but I have a 7-year-old niece who I have a lot. Like I'm very close to my brother and my sister-in-law, and I love having their daughter over.
Yeah.
And I will say I see what you're describing because I feel like they're being kind of trained to like, with like the iPad generation, they're like, quick
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. And I see that in her.
Be so careful about that. Yeah.
To be so careful. And so I had her over one night for a sleepover, and I was like, we're making chocolate chip cookies. Or no, we're making cupcakes. That's what we're doing. I was like, I love everything.
Do something slow.
Yeah, we're making cupcakes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The thing of it, I was like, we're not doing any iPad or TV time, but we're going to go to the store after I pick you up from school. You can pick out anything you want in the cupcake aisle. I wanted her creativity to go at work. And then it got to the frosting, and she goes to pick out frosting for the cupcakes. I'm like, no, let's make it homemade. She's like, no, I like this.
Wow, you are amazing. I don't know how to make homemade.
Oh, it's so easy. It's just sugar and butter. But I told her, I was like, let's make it homemade. I promise it'll be so good. No, I gotta have your
cupcakes.
This is gonna be ready. Like, let's do this. And I'm like, no, like, trust me. She really resisted it, but I convinced her that like the homemade frosting was gonna be better. And then even again, when it came to making the homemade frosting, she was resistant again. I was like, no, trust me. And I was filming like the whole experience for my brother. So they loved like her in these environments. So I caught this moment on film where she tasted the homemade frosting for the first time. Her eyes rolled to the back.
No way. Oh my God, that's so cute. You have to send it to me.
It's amazing.
You have to send that to me. That's so cute.
It was adorable and hilarious at the same time, but I loved that was a lesson to me again of resistance. Like I feel like it's human nature to go to the path of least resistance.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah. But then she stepped outside of it, and now she comes over and she's like, "Hey, I want to make this. Do you know how to make this from scratch? Like, do you know how to?"
So cute.
And I feel like that's like really what we have to do, like, with our kids, but also like in our own lives.
Such a good influence on her. That's awesome. She has an auntie like that.
Sounds like you are too, to your kids. So it's just.
We all try. We all try.
Yeah. Don't worry. Like I had her for a week while her parents were in Europe, and there were times where the iPad came out. So you know what?
Of course. Like I actually don't think it's bad. I think you just have to like contain it, right? Like I don't think it's bad at all.
Definitely. With Logan, our 2-year-old, she's obviously no screen time. There's no need. She's exploring pushing the garage doors.
Yeah, I know. No, she doesn't need a screen.
But I think at 7, if she wants to spend 30 minutes a night, whatever, then I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, between you and I do have to go.
I know, same. I honestly appreciate.
This is so fun.
All of the time. I mean, your story is so incredibly motivating, but also just like your energy is so
Thank you. Same to you. I had such a blast. I love your story.
The longest podcast we've ever done for Boston Radio too. So
I was like, we didn't even talk about like advertising or I guess, but like,
okay.
But yeah, if you build a good product, people come.
Exactly. So
I will tell you a couple of things that worked for us. What is crazy to me, like the fact that you ran a UGC agency actually makes a lot of sense because UGC does move the needle, but particularly actually like my UGC moves the needle. So like when the creators of the product get on like a video on TikTok or something and like tell their story and stuff, I found that that's like when people want to hear a lot about what's going on, how things are made, like the behind the scenes of everything. And so one interesting thing that I've been like exploring is like, how do you create like a studio for a brand, right? Like every brand almost has to be their own studio. Like how do you because it's a lot, like how do you run a business day to day? I'm in meetings with product development, with ads, with HR, and then it's like, oh, now I have to film it. Like that is just a whole layer of complexity. And then who's going to edit it? Who's going to put it out there and cut it up into shorts? And it's like that's a whole different world. But when I do it, I do see like a lot of benefit to the company. It's just so hard to do it. So I don't know if you guys have any solutions for that, but that's been a big learning for us too.
Yeah, I agree with you. We definitely have solutions for things like that. I can send you offline,
Yeah.
sort of what we would do for companies like yours. But I'm glad to hear that UGC is a valuable like source for
Yeah, for
you guys.
sure.
And I can understand why you have such an incredible story behind this brand, and it's so genuine. Like nowadays, you have every influencer and celebrity coming out with a skincare brand. I like don't want to buy from a
I
celebrity.
know.
I feel like they don't have like the issue. It's not relatable. I
Well,
don't.
half the time they're not like making the product, right?
There's
Like they're
not. They're
just
slapping their.
selling it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They don't know
So,
how it's actually made. But there are some celebrities like, I mean, I do think Hailey Bieber was really involved with Rhode. Like she seems very involved. Like she was making skincare content like 2 years prior to the launch of Rhode. Like she clearly was researching a ton. But you don't see that normally.
right. I agree. And you guys, I know that clinical testing is huge for you.
Huge. Yeah.
And maybe we'll have a part 2 episode where we dive into that because I feel like that's what people want to know about too. But thank you so much for
Thank
everything
you.
today. And everyone is going to get so much value. And maybe we will schedule a part 2 because
Yeah.
I'd love to share more about the ins and outs of the business and how you go about that.
Sounds good.